Welcome to San Diego Design Week. My name is Ramel Wallace and I am the community manager at BAM the agency. BAM is a PR and marketing agency that works with companies that change the world. Today we're going to talk about the intersectionalities between hip hop, branding, PR, and marketing.
If you meet me, I'm going to show you some of the dopest people in the world.
So to talk about the intersectionalities between hip hop and PR and marketing and branding, I realize that a lot of people are going to say, why are you talking about this? So first off, we're talking about this because nobody's talking about this. And we're really attempting to redesign how people communicate and see all these different trades, because there's different intersectionalities in all of them. And hip hop is one of the biggest exports out of America and one of the most popular money driving cultures. So to tap in and to tune into hip hop is to tune into a main narrative that's happening among society. So one of the main commonalities between hip hop and PR is storytelling. The ability to be able to reinterpret other people's stories. Hip hop has been doing this since the beginning of its inception. So I'm going to tell you the story of hip hop to move that along. Hip hop was started in 1973 in New York. New York is the birthplace of hip hop, and it's the birthplace of a lot of other things as well. This is really important because hip hop was started by a community member by the name of thChrch. He was a DJ. He was known for having the biggest speakers in New York City. And the first hip hop show that he threw was on August 11th off of thChrch Avenue. And it was held in a community center. As a community manager, that's something that resonates with me so much, because the basis of hip hop is community. And being someone that's in PR, although I'm not doing the actual PR and contacting and, eliciting publications, I am talking to people in the community on a daily basis. So the ability to get a story across by talking about my experiences is quintessential. So now that we talked about the birthplace of hip hop, we're going to talk about the elements that make hip hop what it is. The first element of hip hop is the DJ. thChrch was the first person to be like hip hop before there was a name. Of course, there were a lot of other people. You can get into the minutia of that at another time. But the DJ is the first element of hip hop. The second element of hip hop is the BBoy. Those guys that have the izoids and the cardboard boxes, and they're dancing on the floor in the middle of the park. That's an important element to hip hop. The third element of hip hop is graffiti. They get the aerosol cans and they spray up the subway with a beautiful form of expression known as graffiti. You basically would create some type of name or character, and you would put it in this almost hieroglyphic state on a wall. This was a way for you to become permanent, and many times these people were from a city where impermanence was presented to them at all moments. And so to feel like you could become permanent by putting up your brand on a subway, it's important. And finally, the fourth element of hip hop is the MC. I myself consider myself an MC. It's also known as the master communicator. And that's where you really start to get into the intersectionalities and the crossroads. Because if you're in PR, you are a master of communications. You're in the world of comms. Stepping into this world, the way that people use their words is amazing. They know where the predicate goes. They have all these different types of tools to articulate an idea and crystallize it in your brain. And that's exactly what hip hop is. So now we're gonna take a step back and actually go through all those elements and talk about how it's connected to PR, marketing, and branding. So we're gonna break down what the DJ is when it comes to marketing and PR. The DJ is equivalent to the CEO. The DJ is also equivalent to the market. The DJ will pay attention to what the audience is doing and where they're at and where the market is. And the DJ will make something or play something that the audience can resonate with. The DJ is the facilitator. The DJ is the architect of the environment and is quintessential to the rotation of hip hop. Let me make it even more clear. The DJ is similar to the CEO as they have the vision. They may be able to know the song that's gonna resonate with that audience and with those employees and with your staff and your headquarters before other people would. The DJ is the intuition of hip hop and they should be listened to. The DJ is also the analyst. They're the nerd. The DJ is the quantifier. They're looking at the numbers. They're scratching the records, but it's all math. It's numbers and zeros, and they're able to look at all of these numbers and make something out of it and keep the rotations going. It's a lot of stuff to manage. Just like if you're a CEO, you're gonna have a lot of plates that you have to keep spinning. Keep spinning. You have to keep spinning. You're gonna be the one that's up, working with everybody else and making sure that they're staying on task for what they have to do. The DJ is the one that stole the electricity out of the street lights at the park. They're the ones that really make it happen. You cannot have a business and you cannot have a hip hop record or culture without the DJ. The DJ is the CEO, the DJ is the quantifier, and the DJ is the scientist of everything. They keep everything in motion. So now that we've talked about keeping things in motion, it really flows into talking about the B-boy. The B-boy, the one that's also spinning, but he's spinning on his head. The B-boy, in the sense of branding and creating a movement, the B-boy is movement. The B-boy is saying, oh yeah, this feeling makes me vibrate. The feeling has a body language to it. And that body language has a way to transfer communication to people. You want to be able to communicate with people. And the harsh reality is that, what they say, 90% of communication is nonverbal. So to be able to communicate your thought and idea through these nonverbal modalities, that's exactly what the B-boy is. The B-boy is communicating that the music is happening. You may be deaf and you may not be able to know the music is happening, but you can feel it. The B-boy is also the feeling of being moved by something, the ethos, the emotion behind the creations or the brand and the identity that you're giving to people. It has to move people, just like your company idea has to move people, just like your product has to move people. All these elements have to move people, and then they have to move units. All those units have to move. It has to go and spin, and that is how the B-boy is connected to marketing and branding, because the B-boy is the movement. The B-boy is a movement. And last but not least, the B-boy is energy and the B-boy is motion. So the B-boy is emotion. You have to have emotion behind any brand that you're working with, especially if it's a cultural one. Say you're a B2B business and you don't really want to focus on that cultural aspect of connecting to someone's emotions. Well, you know what? When you meet with that startup or you meet with that PR agency or say that investor, you're going to want to move them with your own personal story. If you're not moving people emotionally, you're not moving people at all. I feel like as a hip hop artist, it's my job to get the crowd moving, to get the party started in any type of sense. And in this sense, it's beginning the inertia of creating something. It has to move. If something is moving, it has the feeling of being alive. You really want to showcase that your brand is alive. It's not just a logo that's just sitting there. The B-boy is alive. The B-boy is telling you a story. If he's sad or if he broke his leg or something, he'll let you know what is going on in this life, or their lives, or her lives, or whatever it is. So the third element that we're going to talk about today is graffiti. Graffiti is basically design. One of the most popular designs that you would ever see. When hip hop first started, it was painted across so many subways that it was ridiculous. And you thought that it was gonna stay there and not move. But you look at graffiti nowadays and it's everywhere. Graffiti is everywhere. And graffiti is not just a DEI movement where you change the typography. Graffiti, for myself and for a lot of hip hop artists, shout out to Saul Williams, graffiti is our hieroglyphics. You may look at something and not be able to tell what it's actually trying to say to you, or you might not be able to read the name because those names are spoken in codes for a certain audience. And if you're part of that audience and you're in that know, then you're gonna know what's going on. If you have a brand and you're making a logo, you're gonna wanna speak to that specific niche audience. And you're gonna wanna be able to talk to them through the words that you choose, through the fluidity of the design. You're gonna wanna talk to them through the colors and the emotions that your name or your brand is breathing. And there's no other way around that. Say you have some graffiti and it's on the wall and it's like all these blue colors. Maybe it's sadder or just more tamed, or saying that you're like the ocean. Say you have red and that means that you're ferocious, or that you're about that, or it's life, it's blood. You really want to be able to break down every element of your design and have it be for a reason. These designs are not just happening, randomly. Everything is on purpose with your design. So when you think about graffiti, think about design, think about branding, think about your logo. So the last of the elements that we're going to touch on today is the MC. And as I said before, MC stands for the master communicator, or the master of ceremonies. When you walk into these doors of PR, these people are so articulate. They use so many words that you never heard of. It's beautiful. It's just like hip hop. Hip hop is a reflection of the culture and the language, and we use it so artistically. It's crafted. Every rhyme is there for a reason. Rakim used to, he used to make these patterns on his page, and where each line dropped, that's where the rhyme was. He had designed it like that because he knew that people would, be pulled in by what he's saying. It's extremely important. You want to develop your ability to articulate an idea, and if you can articulate an idea that other people haven't yet mastered, you have a leg up against people. What the MC does is they articulate what the brand means. You know, you have the DJ that's out there paying attention, and they're the facilitators. You have the B-boys. They're responding to the DJ, and they're the movement. They're emotion. You have the graffiti artist. You have the logo, the brand, everything. The MC is there to articulate what the brand is doing. They're here to explain what's happening. They're here to exhibit all of the emotions that are right in front of you, but no one's saying anything. An MC, at least how I started off, you might just say, "Oh wow, that's dope." You might hit somebody on the shoulder and say, "Whoa, what's going on over there?" The MC started by hyping up the DJ. The MC would just talk about the DJ. This DJ's nice, that DJ's not. This DJ, just hyping up the DJ. My DJ, check out the DJ. Because they're paying ode to what's creating everything, which is very much the DJ. And you see a lot of these brands and companies, and a lot of times the CEO becomes the DJ. And everybody is hyping them up. Like Steve Jobs is like a DJ, you know? Jeff Bezos is a DJ. You know, Bill Gates is a DJ. Sometimes they're MCs, but for the most part, you have somebody else that's in the company that is hyping them up as they facilitate and pay attention to the market as closely as they can. Again, my name is Ramel Wallace. I'm the community manager at BAM, the agency. You can check us out at bamtheagency.com. We have a really awesome podcast called Dear BAM, where we answer all your tough PR and marketing questions. Please check that out. Please come down and, let's stay 6 feet apart. Thank you so much, San Diego Design Week, for letting myself and BAM, the agency, be a part of this. Hope you have a magical day. And remember, everything is hip hop.